The lights at SoFi Stadium cut out for just a second. 70,000 people go silent. Then the screen flashes. A distorted choir echoes through the speakers. And then, right there in the center of one of the biggest venues in America, Kanye West steps out like nothing ever happened. No apology, no warning, just presence. But rewind the tape, because what you're seeing in that moment isn't just a performance, it's a statement, a power move. And according to sources close to the situation, it's one the industry did not want to happen, especially not twice. Fans are screaming. Social media is going crazy. Clips are already hitting Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, millions of views in minutes. But behind that energy, behind that spectacle, there's something deeper unfolding. Contracts, venue negotiations, insurance clauses, corporate pressure. And according to insiders, multiple attempts to stop this second show before it even happened. Let that sink in, because this isn't just about music anymore. It's about control, about who gets to stand on the biggest stages in the world, and who gets quietly erased. Some fans believe Kanye just broke an unspoken rule. Others are saying he exposed how the industry really works behind the scenes. And then there are those asking the bigger question, how did he even pull this off? Because here's what nobody is telling you. This second SoFi Stadium show wasn't supposed to happen. So the real question is, who tried to stop it, and why? To understand why this moment at SoFi Stadium feels so explosive, you have to rewind the tape and really study Kanye West, now legally known as Ye, not just as an artist, but as a system disruptor who has spent 2 decades challenging the very machinery that made him famous. Back in February 2004, when he released The College Dropout through Rockefeller Records in New York City, the industry saw him as a risk. He wasn't the typical rapper of that era. No street persona, no gangster image, just a producer turned artist wearing polos and talking about self-doubt, faith, and ambition. But here's what nobody is telling you. From the beginning, Kanye's real fight wasn't just about music, it was about ownership, control, and creative freedom. Think about the timeline. By September 2007, Graduation goes head-to-head with 50 Cent's Curtis in what fans remember as a cultural showdown. Kanye wins commercially, but more importantly, he shifts the sound of mainstream hip-hop. Then, in November 2013, he releases Yeezus, an experimental project that critics initially called chaotic, but today is considered ahead of its time. Each move felt unpredictable, but if you follow the paperwork and the patterns, a clearer picture starts forming. Kanye was slowly separating himself from traditional industry rules. Now let's move forward to the business side, because that's where the real tension begins. Around 2016, Kanye publicly started calling out record label structures, even posting contract frustrations on social media platforms like Twitter. Fans are shocked at the time, but insiders weren't. According to sources close to the situation, disputes over masters, royalties, and creative control had been building quietly for years. In simple terms, owning your masters means owning your music, the recordings themselves, and Kanye made it clear he believed artists were getting the short end of the deal. He allegedly said in multiple interviews that artists were being trapped in contracts that benefited corporations more than creators. Nothing is confirmed in terms of private negotiations, but court-level disputes across the industry show similar patterns. Let that sink in. Because if an artist at Kanye's level feels restricted, what does that mean for everyone else? Then comes one of the most important turning points, his move into fashion and billion-dollar territory. Through his Yeezy partnership with Adidas, Kanye reportedly reached billionaire status by 2020, according to business estimates widely discussed in media. This changed everything. He wasn't just dependent on music revenue anymore, he had leverage, real leverage. And in the music industry, leverage is power, but power doesn't come without consequences. By October 2022, major headlines hit. Adidas officially cut ties with Kanye following controversial public statements. Other companies followed, deals collapsed, partnerships ended, and suddenly, the same industry that once elevated him seemed to be distancing itself rapidly. Social media is going crazy during this period. Some fans defend him, saying he's being targeted. Others criticize him heavily. People are divided. Emotions ran high across every platform. But here's where the human angle hits. Around that same time, fans noticed changes in Kanye's public behavior. Fewer polished appearances, more raw and unpredictable moments. A now-deleted Instagram post, and allegedly shared in late 2022, showed him reflecting on isolation and betrayal. According to fans who screenshotted it before it disappeared, he hinted at feeling cut off from the very system he helped build. Nothing is confirmed about his personal state of mind, but the emotional weight was visible. This wasn't just a business fallout. It looked personal. Now bring it back to live performances. Kanye has always used stadiums as his canvas. From the St. Pablo tour in 2016 to the Donda listening events in 2021, especially the August 26, 2021 event at Soldier Field in Chicago, he turned concerts into cinematic experiences. Think about that moment, recreating his childhood home in the middle of a stadium, standing alone while millions watched. That wasn't just music, that was storytelling. That was control. So when reports started circulating, unconfirmed reports to be clear, that Kanye was planning another major stadium-level return, people paid attention, especially when the location was SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, one of the most expensive and high-profile venues in the United States, opened in September 2020 and home to billion-dollar infrastructure and strict booking protocols. This isn't a venue you just show up to. There are contracts, insurance requirements, corporate stakeholders, and scheduling layers that have to align perfectly. Sources close to the situation say early conversations around these shows weren't smooth. Allegedly, there were concerns from partners about risk, public perception, and brand association. Nothing is confirmed in official documents made public, but industry patterns suggest that large venues often involve multiple approval layers, promoters, sponsors, and corporate boards. So when the first show reportedly went through, some insiders were already surprised. But when talks of a second show started building, that's when tensions reportedly increased. And here's the key detail that fans might have missed. Timing. Think about the timeline. A controversial public period. Major brand separations in 2022. Limited traditional industry backing afterward. Then suddenly, one of the biggest stadiums in the country, hosting not one, but two events tied to Kanye West. Let that sink in. Because from a business perspective, this doesn't just happen. Not easily, not quietly. Which is exactly why people are now asking, was this a comeback or a takeover? Now focus on the moment everything shifted. From quiet negotiations to a full-scale spectacle that had the entire industry watching in real time. Think about the timeline carefully. According to event listings and ticketing activity that fans tracked online, the first SoFi Stadium show moved forward with unusual momentum. Within hours of announcement, screenshots of ticket confirmations started circulating across platforms like X and Instagram. Fans are shocked. Social media is going crazy. But behind that excitement, sources close to the situation say there were already concerns building. Concerns about logistics, insurance coverage, and reputational risk tied to hosting an artist surrounded by ongoing controversy. Nothing is confirmed in official public filings, but large-scale venues like SoFi operate under layered agreements. Promoters secure the date. Insurers evaluate risk. Corporate stakeholders review brand exposure. And if even one piece hesitates, the entire event can stall. Then comes the second show. Rewind the tape for a second. Because this is where things stop looking routine and start feeling strategic. Within what fans describe as a very tight window, allegedly days, not weeks, talk of a second SoFi date begins spreading online. At first, people think it's fake. Fan pages post mock flyers. Comment sections fill with skepticism. But then more evidence appears. Ticketing placeholders. Venue scheduling gaps. And according to sources, internal communications that hinted the possibility was real. Let that sink in. Because booking one stadium show is complex. Booking two, back-to-back, or within a short cycle, requires a level of coordination that usually takes months. Here's what nobody is telling you. Follow the paperwork. In standard event law, a venue agreement often includes clauses tied to performance obligations, cancellation penalties, and liability insurance. If an artist is considered high risk, insurers may increase premiums or impose stricter terms. In simple terms, that means higher upfront costs and more legal oversight. According to industry insiders, not confirmed in court documents specific to this event, some insurers can even request behavioral clauses, meaning the artist must meet certain conditions for coverage to remain valid. Now think about that in Kanye's case, where public unpredictability has been widely discussed. People are divided. Some believe this made venues hesitant, while others say his draw was too massive to ignore. As the second show rumours gained traction, fans started digging. One viral post, time-stamped late at night, allegedly around 11:47 p.m. Pacific time, showed what looked like a back-end ticketing update. Nothing officially confirmed, but enough to spark a wave. Within hours, hashtags began trending. Hashtag YesSoFi2 started picking up momentum. And then came the real turning point, the moment everything went from speculation to reality. Tickets. According to multiple fan accounts, tickets for the second show appeared without the traditional slow rollout. No long press cycles, no extended marketing build-up, just availability. Quick, direct, almost like a drop. Fans rushed in. Screenshots of purchase confirmations flooded timelines. Some users claimed sections were selling out within minutes. Others said prices fluctuated rapidly, suggesting dynamic pricing systems reacting in real time. Nothing is confirmed in official sales data released publicly, but the pattern looked different from a standard stadium rollout. Now layer in the physical setup. SoFi Stadium isn't just any venue, it's a multi-billion-dollar complex with strict operational timelines. Setting up a stage, lighting rigs, sound systems, and security infrastructure takes coordinated labor teams working around the clock. According to event production norms, crews often need 24 to 72 hours minimum for full-scale transformation. So when fans realized a second show was being prepared in what appeared to be a compressed timeframe, questions started building. How was this approved? Who signed off? And how did the logistics align so quickly? Sources close to the situation say there may have been internal disagreements. Again, nothing is confirmed, but insiders suggest some stakeholders were cautious about doubling down. From a legal perspective, this could involve risk assessment memos, insurance endorsements, and amended contracts. In simple terms, an amendment is when an existing agreement is modified, like adding a second performance date under updated conditions. Follow the paperwork, and you start to see how complex this becomes. Then the night arrives. The energy outside SoFi is different. Fans line up hours early. Some traveled across states. Others waited their whole lives for a moment like this. One fan post, allegedly from a mother attending with her teenage son, goes viral. She writes that this was their first concert together after a difficult year. Let that sink in. Because beyond contracts and corporate tension, this is still about people. Real moments. Real memories. Inside the stadium, the lights drop. The sound system hums, and when Kanye steps out, it feels less like a concert and more like a declaration. According to attendees posting live, he moves through the set with intensity, minimal talking, maximum presence. Visuals flash, choirs echo. And at one point, fans claim he paused, looked out into the crowd, and simply stood there in silence. According to sources, someone near the stage allegedly heard him say, "They tried to stop this. Nothing is confirmed. But the moment spreads instantly online. Phones are up everywhere. Clips go viral in seconds. Social media is going crazy again. Millions of views stack overnight. And just like that, the second SoFi show isn't just an event. It's a statement that made the entire industry pay attention. Because think about the timeline. Think about the resistance people believe was there. And then look at the outcome. 2 stadium shows. No traditional rollout. Massive demand. So the question now isn't just how it happened. It's what it means. And who it challenged. The lights faded, the crowd went home, and for a moment it felt like the story ended inside SoFi Stadium. But rewind the tape, because this is where the real impact begins. Within hours of the second show ending, clips flooded every platform. TikTok edits, Instagram reels, long Twitter threads breaking down every second of Kanye's performance. Fans are shocked. Social media is going crazy. But underneath that viral wave, something more complicated started unfolding. People weren't just talking about the music. They were debating what this moment meant. Some fans believe Kanye proved he can still command the biggest stage in the world without traditional industry backing. Others argue the industry never really lost control in the first place. People are divided, and emotions ran high across every corner of the internet. Now shift the lens from the crowd to the people behind the scenes. According to sources close to the situation, some industry executives were reportedly frustrated, not necessarily about the performance itself, but about what it represented. Nothing is confirmed in official statements, but insiders suggest that the success of 2 back-to-back stadium-level events, allegedly pulled together under pressure, challenges the traditional gatekeeping system. In simple terms, the industry usually controls scale. Big venues, major marketing, distribution pipelines, all of it typically flows through established networks. But here, fans are asking a different question. Did Kanye bypass that system, or did he force it to bend? Follow the paperwork again. Because behind every sold-out section and viral clip, there are financial ripples. Ticket revenue, merchandise sales, streaming spikes. These numbers matter. According to fan-tracked estimates, not official audited reports, resale ticket prices surged after the second show announcement, suggesting demand may have exceeded initial projections. Nothing is confirmed in final revenue disclosures, but the pattern is clear. Attention equals money, and money shifts power. Let that sink in. Then comes the human side, the part that doesn't show up in contracts or headlines. One post, shared widely on Facebook the morning after the show, came from a fan who said she attended with her younger brother. She described how they had grown apart over the years, but that night brought them back together. She wrote, "For 2 hours, everything felt normal again." There's no verification beyond the post itself, but the emotion hit people hard. Because behind the politics and controversy, there are real people connecting to something bigger than themselves. That's the part nobody can regulate. At the same time, criticism didn't disappear. Public figures, commentators, and even some artists weighed in. According to various interviews and live-stream discussions, nothing formally documented in court filings, some voices in the industry expressed concern about accountability. They questioned whether separating art from controversy is possible, especially on a stage this large. Others pushed back, arguing that music has always been a space for redemption and expression. Both sides presented arguments, and neither fully resolved the tension. This is where the legal and ethical lines blur, not in courtrooms, but in public opinion. From a legal perspective, there's another layer worth understanding. Large-scale performances often involve what's called indemnification clauses. In simple terms, that means one party agrees to protect another from certain legal liabilities. If anything goes wrong, technical issues, safety concerns, reputational damage, these clauses determine who is responsible. Nothing is confirmed about the exact agreements tied to these shows, but standard industry contracts rely heavily on this structure. So when people ask how the second show was approved despite alleged concerns, the answer may lie in how risk was distributed behind the scenes. Now look at the reaction from within Kanye's own circle. According to sources and social media activity, again nothing officially confirmed, some collaborators and affiliates posted cryptic messages after the show. Phrases like, "They doubted him," and "This was bigger than music," started appearing online. Fans quickly connected the dots, interpreting these posts as indirect responses to the reported resistance. Whether that interpretation is accurate or not remains unclear, but the narrative gained traction fast. And in today's digital landscape, perception can move just as powerfully as fact. Meanwhile, streaming platforms reportedly saw increased activity tied to Kanye's catalogue following the performances. While exact numbers vary and nothing is confirmed in official platform reports at this moment, it's a common pattern. Live events drive digital engagement. People revisit old albums, rediscover songs, and reconnect with the artist's history. Think about that timeline again. Controversy, silence, then a massive return on one of the biggest stages in the world. The emotional swing alone is enough to pull audiences back in. But here's where the story gets heavier. Because not everyone experienced this moment as a comeback, some fans expressed discomfort, pointing out that unresolved issues still linger. They questioned whether the focus should be on the spectacle or the broader context surrounding Kanye's public actions. These conversations didn't stay quiet. They spread across comment sections, podcasts, and reaction videos. People are divided, and there's no simple answer. And then, there's Kanye himself. During the performance, as mentioned in fan-recorded clips, he reportedly had moments of stillness, pauses where he just stood there, looking out at the crowd. No speech, no explanation, just silence. According to some attendees, it felt intentional, almost like he was letting the moment speak for itself. Nothing is confirmed about his intent, but the symbolism wasn't lost on the audience. In a world where everyone is constantly talking, silence can say everything. So when you step back and look at the fallout, it's not just about success or controversy. It's about tension between artist and industry, between fans and critics, or between what is proven and what is believed. And maybe the most important detail, none of it is fully resolved. Because even after 2 massive shows, one question still hangs in the air. Was this a victory, or the beginning of something even bigger? Step back for a second and really look at what just happened, because this isn't only about 2 nights at SoFi Stadium, it's about a shift that could ripple through the entire music industry. Rewind the tape and think about the pattern. An artist who, according to sources, faced corporate distancing, brand separations, and public controversy, somehow returns to one of the most powerful stages in the world, and does it twice, with massive attention and demand. Let that sink in, because if this model holds, even partially, what it challenges one of the oldest structures in entertainment, the idea that you need full institutional backing to operate at the highest level. Here's what nobody is telling you. The music industry has always been built on gatekeeping. Labels control distribution. Promoters control access to venues. Sponsors control brand alignment. And insurance companies control risk. It's a layered system designed to minimize uncertainty. But Kanye's SoFi moment, whether perfectly planned or pulled together under pressure, nothing is confirmed, raises a different question. What happens when an artist with enough influence, capital, and audience loyalty starts moving outside those traditional pathways? Because if fans show up regardless of controversy, regardless of corporate hesitation, then the balance of power starts to shift. Well, think about the timeline again. Over the past decade, we've already seen artists push for ownership, masters, publishing rights, independent distribution. Streaming platforms changed how music is consumed, but they also created new dependencies. Now, imagine a future where live events, stadium-level events, become the next battleground for independence. According to industry analysts, not specific to this case, touring revenue has become one of the most critical income streams for artists. So if someone proves they can mobilize that scale without relying fully on traditional systems, it forces everyone else to pay attention. But there's another side to this story, and it's just as important. Because power without structure can also create instability. Some critics argue that bypassing established systems removes layers of accountability. In simple terms, those systems, contracts, insurance requirements, corporate oversight exist to manage risk, protect audiences, and maintain consistency. Nothing is confirmed about how every detail of these shows was handled behind the scenes, but the concern remains part of the conversation. People are divided. Some see innovation, others see potential risk. Both perspectives exist at the same time. Now bring in the cultural angle. Hip-hop has always been rooted in disruption. From block parties in the Bronx to global stadium tours, the genre grew by challenging authority and redefining rules. Kanye has always positioned himself within that tradition, even when it made him controversial. But here's the difference. This isn't just about sound or style anymore. This is about infrastructure, about who controls the stages, the audiences, and the narrative. And if one artist can shift that, even temporarily, it opens the door for others to try. According to conversations happening across podcasts, interviews, and social media, none of them official legal records, but reflective of public sentiment, some artists are watching closely. Not necessarily to replicate everything, but to understand what's possible. Could more artists attempt direct-to-venue deals? Could they negotiate differently with promoters? Could they leverage fan loyalty in new ways? These questions don't have clear answers yet, but they're being asked more loudly than before. There's also the question of perception versus reality. Because while fans see a triumphant return, industry insiders might see a complex negotiation filled with compromises that aren't visible to the public. Follow the paperwork, and the story might look different. Contracts could still involve traditional players. Insurance could still require strict terms. Partnerships could still exist behind closed doors. Nothing is confirmed, but that's how this system usually operates. What you see on stage is only part of the equation. And then there's Kanye himself, the unpredictable center of it all. His career has always been defined by extremes. Highs that redefine culture, lows that spark controversy, and moments that blur the line between genius and chaos. SoFi Stadium becomes another chapter in that pattern. Not a clean resolution, but a continuation. According to sources, people close to him believe this was about reclaiming space. Others say it was about proving a point. Nothing is confirmed, but the symbolism is undeniable. One detail that keeps resurfacing is silence. During the show, those moments where he paused and said nothing. No explanation, no defense, just presence. Think about that in the context of everything surrounding him. The criticism, the support, the debates. Sometimes silence becomes the loudest statement of all. Fans interpret it one way, critics interpret it another, and the truth sits somewhere in between. So now the bigger questions start to take shape. If the industry was hesitant, as some reports suggest, what does this success mean for future decisions? Will venues become more open to controversial figures if demand is high enough? Or will they tighten restrictions to avoid similar situations? Will other artists follow this path, or was this a one-time moment that can't be replicated? Because at the end of the day, then this isn't just about Kanye, it's about the system around him. A system that, for a brief moment, looked like it was being tested in real time. And the truth is, we still don't know who really had control. So when you put all the pieces together, this story doesn't land on a clean ending. It opens a bigger conversation. Rewind the tape one last time. 2 massive shows at SoFi Stadium. A second date that, according to sources, wasn't supposed to happen so easily. Alleged behind-the-scenes tension, explosive fan demand, and a performance that felt less like entertainment and more like a statement. But here's what nobody is telling you. We still don't have all the answers. Was this a calculated power move by Kanye to prove he can still dominate without full industry backing? Or was it, as some insiders suggest, is still deeply connected to the same system people think he's fighting, just operating in ways the public can't see? Nothing is confirmed. And that's what makes this story even more fascinating. Think about the biggest unanswered questions. Who, if anyone, actually tried to stop that second show, and why? How did the logistics come together so fast at a venue that usually requires months of planning? And most importantly, did this moment really shift power in the music industry, or was it just a temporary disruption? Fans are still debating. Social media is still going crazy. People are divided. And now it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think really happened behind the scenes? Was this a comeback or a takeover? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading everything. And if you want more deep breakdowns like this, where we go beyond the headlines and really follow the paperwork, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the next story might be even bigger.